Wales.
Wales. So yeah,
Let's all move to Wales.
yes, please do, because we could do with it. Because Wales at the moment is for everyone but the Welsh. Every time we come here, we've got a new story about Wales and where it's going. Now we're going to touch on really quickly just something that Connor's already done in this segment here a little while ago with you guys. But since then, there has been some developments, isn't there?
Yeah.
So Connor spoke about this. You can see the girl there, the video that was playing. And what it was a school in South Wales, in Bridgend, to be more, I won't name the school, but it's in Bridgend. And they have had children who were basically given scripts to say and do. And we can put the video on. I've trimmed it down a little bit, but just to give the people who may not have seen this an idea of what it is, the one before this.
Hello and welcome to Wales. We understand being a refugee isn't easy. They go through so much. Fleeing your country is difficult, but Wales wants to help you feel welcome. The Welsh Refugee Council are here to help you. You can contact them here. Wales is seen as a nation of sanctuary. We welcome anyone and everyone. We recognise your skills and talent. The Welsh Refugee Council offers a lot to support, including, not only this, but Wales offers free education and healthcare. There are many job opportunities here in Wales. IKEA works closely with the Welsh Refugee Council, providing jobs for refugees that come from all over the world. On the screen now are some basic Welsh phrases.
Imagine being a 30-year-old Mohammed who's just done up and they give you this as a video.
Well, imagine seeing this if you're in France and you got this going on, school children. Now,
the implication for me, and it is a rather dark one, sadly, is that this is like red meat to a wolf, dangling little girls in front of these people.
And this is why we got in trouble, see, because we said the same thing. And obviously there's zero tolerance from Mr. Drakeford on that. But there was just a couple of points to go through on that. This is just to quote them, these children. We understand being a refugee isn't easy. They go through so much. Like, how do they understand that being a refugee isn't easy? And do they go through so much?
Well, I mean, a burglar, a bank robber goes through so much planning out the robbery. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean he's earned it. That's such a stupid argument. He goes so much. You don't understand how much time I took planning this murder. You can't arrest me for it, guys.
It took me years to plan this. But that's the point. And you hit the nail on the head. They're kids. They don't know. But they are being taught. This is just some people children who were able to get up and say what they were told to say by the Welsh Refugee Council for Wales. The other one, then, we welcome anyone and everyone. So something we get criticised a lot for by the Welsh government is because we say it's doors open, anyone welcome. They say, no, it's not. They've got to be a refugee.
You're being racist.
Racist. Yeah. But they say it themselves, everyone and anyone. We recognise your skills and talent. No, you don't, unfortunately. And then what I clipped out there, what the Welsh Refugee Council can offer to these refugees, and I'm going to say refugees because that's what they class them as, and
illegal aliens,
it's illegal aliens. They are economic migrants. They aren't refugees. They aren't fleeing war or persecution. But in Wales, anybody that literally self-describes himself as a refugee, you're a refugee. So wherever you come from, no matter where it is, you're a refugee, you're welcome. But what they advertise for them to have, English lessons, employment as a refugee, apply for bank accounts, child benefit, housing, education. They find doctors for them, Welsh lessons, and free healthcare. So when you've got these children...
And on top of that, although they don't mention it, on top of that, you get free bus passes, a train pass, I understand.
Free bus passes, yeah.
£49 a week money, and also access to every single museum and swimming pool.
Yeah, places where we'd have to pay to get into, these all get it for free.
And places where the public is.
Yeah.
Do they want my wife? Probably, yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it
just a weekend here and there would be acceptable, Callum. What, are you racist or something?
I mean, literally, all for prima nocta. Is that what's next?
Yes. Well, like you said there, that is an advert. If they're seeing young schoolgirls, and we, other people have said it a little bit more in a way that I wouldn't normally go, but they've said, young girls in short skirts in school saying, come on, come to Wales, come to Wales. It's an advert.
These young girls who are either don't really know what they're doing or have been brainwashed by the school into thinking that this is a virtuous thing to do.
Yeah. But the irony is, every one of them was a white girl. Have you seen a government advert or any advert at all where it's purely 100% Caucasian in the advert?
Some of the new military recruitment. But outside of those,
No.
So, but from that, right, we found that straight away, right? That video, we found it immediately. I shared it out. We were speaking to GB News. Patrick messaged me. We sent over some more information, and they went into it in more depth as well, didn't they? But because of that publicity, there has been a big backlash, as you can imagine. You can't question anything with the Welsh government. So parents aren't happy because a lot of the parents wasn't aware that this sort of stuff was going on in the schools, which again leads to, what are teachers actually doing with the children when they're in school? What are they teaching them? I'd always say to my children, don't go near a dog that you don't know. If it's a stray dog, is not on a lead, or even on a lead, don't approach the dog because you don't know much about the dog. What they're doing is teaching the children that, go to any dog. Any dog is fine, and that's...
Well, you would usually teach them stranger danger. But
you would, yes.
So much of a stranger that we actually have no idea about his background.
Well,
stranger danger, a member of ISIS, doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't accept sweets. This is slightly off topic, but there was a Labour councillor driving around we've got a Pride bus in Swansea. It's all rainbowed up and it takes the college kids around. But they were driving around looking for school kids in bus stops with police, rainbowed up police, and a man in drag jumping off the bus, and they literally
offering sweeties.
Yeah, we're driving around looking for children in bus stops to offer them sweets. And that was the Labour. That's Welsh Labour for you. But what can you expect?
I'm sorry, but that is just a van with candy red on it.
Yeah. The guy from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang jumps out.
When every one of your primordial instincts is screaming, "This is bad. This is wrong." Like the good guys would like you to discard those feelings and just go well, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It looks fine. All on the up and up.
They're literally travelling around South Wales looking for children in bus stops with in a bus and police in a bus giving them sweets. It's just all sorts of wrong. But the backlash from us posting this out, because obviously a lot of parents will watch what we have put out and then they'll start questioning the schools. Unfortunately, the Welsh Refugee Council had so much abuse that it was taken off their website, and they actually have deleted everything from that school visit. So, I class that as a win. But this was then announced in the Senedd, which is the Welsh Parliament, by to take the Drakeford there. So if you want to play that one, John.
Diolch, Llywydd. Will the First Minister make a statement on the threat to Welsh democracy posed by the sharing of misinformation online?
Llywydd, online misinformation is a deeply harmful but contemporary feature of all democratic societies. We work with groups within Wales and across the UK to combat the misinformation itself, to help informed citizens to identify misinformation, and to provide authenticated sources of information on which individuals can rely.
The charisma's unreal, isn't it?
Already done.
Well, thank you, First Minister. Over Christmas, I was sent a link by a constituent to a news item on an American platform purporting to be a news provider, which claimed that the Welsh government was using 14-year-old schoolgirls to attract military-age men from countries where there are no rape laws, including Africa and the Middle East. Would you agree that this sort of news article is totally unacceptable, damaging to democracy? And First Minister, do you think there are some other examples over recent weeks of misinformation being promoted online, perhaps emanating from closer to home?
Closer to home. They don't mention our name.
So I'm aware of the story to which Ken Skates refers, and it is both utterly untrue and utterly irresponsible to make such claims. Here were a group of young people of their own volition looking to make sure that others who might come to their area would feel welcomed and know that they would be welcomed in that community. The result of that misreporting is that those children's welcomers had to be taken down, that new security arrangements have had to be made at those places where the Welsh Refugee Council operates. Individuals who work for the Refugee Council were named in those highly irresponsible reports and have had their own lives disrupted as a result. The police are involved in investigating what has been said. That willful misrepresentation by people who claim, and it's a sickening claim, to be interested in the well-being of young people, whereas in fact everything that they have done has acted to put young people at greater risk. Anybody who claims to care about the safety of our young people should not be sharing false claims about them.
So let me get his side of the story straight. The man who is definitely telling the truth. His story is that these kids, of their own volition, put this video together to make people feel welcome, which is why they were explicitly stating that you can get employment immediately, child credits, and all sorts. So it was just that.
Well, they have to pay their own child credit.
It was the children who were offering that. The children offering tax credits and employment.
Because they know about that sort of thing, don't they, these children? They know about
they're the ones offering them. Presumably, they've set up their own little office for it in the school. That's Mark Drakeford's line that he's going with there, that these kids have their own employment office. With tax benefits and everything.
Chairs and everything, child little offices for them to...
Yeah, they sit down. Please, come into my office. Please take a seat.
Sorry, you're fired.
So this is the post, basically.
How stupid does he think people are?
Well, unfortunately, though, this is the point, is that, nobody in Wales watches that. They don't watch the debate in the Senedd. Nobody, and you can understand why, because having to listen to Drakeford for, and I'm sure it goes on for about 7-8 hours, but having to listen to him for that amount of time, nobody really pays any attention to it.
And also, I just have to get this off of my chest. That man that he was speaking to, who was prompting all of his responses, actually looked like a lizard. He looked like a skinwalker. So I'm very suspicious of the Welsh or the Welsh Parliament right now.
Well, yeah, so are we. But the post that they're on about is, and they're very careful. It's an American platform because they don't mention Gether anymore. GB News has been banned from the Senedd. Nobody's allowed to watch it anymore. They don't mention Voice of Wales anymore. It's don't say the word, it doesn't exist. But this is the post that they're on about, and this is what was sent. We obviously posted it a couple of times because it got the right sort of attraction. Welsh government openly indoctrinating Welsh children through the Welsh Refugee Council. I wonder if the parents are aware that this was happening, pushing housing benefits, child benefits, employment, and all the other luxuries these chancers get with Wales being a self-declared nation of sanctuary. Let's be honest, what do these kids actually know about these refugees other than what they are taught by their teachers? Now, we did elaborate on it in videos, and we did, and when he says, the post that came out was saying about how these people are coming from places where there's no rape laws, we mentioned that in a follow-up sort of interview that we did. And we also mentioned the fact that how much do these children actually know? They say that they did it off their own accord, but there's no way they'd know about the things that they're talking about without being coached. Why did it take the Welsh Refugee Council to go into the schools to actually get them to do the videos, the filming? It's obviously prompted by this NGO body, which is exactly what it is.
Yeah. What's happened is, so you've got this self-declared nation of sanctuary. They haven't got it. They haven't got a foreign office.
No,
I'm surprised.
They haven't got a foreign office. They have 4 things which they managed to hook up: the economy, education, housing, and health.
We're bottom of the list for
everything. We're bottom of the list for everything. And now they've declared that we're a nation of sanctuary. Not only have they done that, but they've also they've got cities and towns of sanctuary. And the latest to that is now schools of sanctuary, and they all come under NGOs, and so you've got the NGOs that are pushing this in schools, along with the LGBTQ Stonewall pushers and sex education, and so the time that a child is growing up, if they're being taught Marxism and they're being taught socialism at its purest form, but they also evil form.
They're being taught it by the very people as well, like the Stand Up to Racism people, the ones who are out, the ones who are at the moment, all over London, in every town and city, actually, for the Free Palestine stuff. It's the exact people who are going into the schools. But
are you going to show that T-shirt?
Yes, we get to that. We do get to that. See, this is why you should look at the notes. So, like Connor did, we looked at the Welsh Refugee Council. So I'm not going to go over what Connor already has done because he did a really good deep dive on it. And anybody that haven't seen it, I recommend go watch it. But we looked into it and we came across the schools of sanctuary, like Stan said. So we've got another little video here, a really quick video to play. So obviously they always got this sort of look, but we'll go for this one.
Did you know that Wales has committed to being the world's first nation of sanctuary? There's excellent work happening across Wales. We've got 29 schools of sanctuary that have already been awarded, with a further 68 working towards. We've got colleges, universities, local authorities. We've got an art gallery, a theatre, all committed to being places of welcome for people seeking sanctuary. We're supporting the next cohort of sanctuary ambassadors through our Sanctuary and Politics course, ensuring that people with lived experience are at the heart of everything we do. So there's fantastic work happening, but there's much more to be done. You can play your part in making the world's first nation of sanctuary by donating to our fundraiser.
Or you can fight against it by donating to the Voice of Wales.
Another lizard person. What's going on?
But look at her eyes. Why are they always like that? You know, why are they always got such mad looking eyes?
But did you hear that comment that they're going to employ people with lived experience? So in other words, people that have got no skills. All these doctors and these professors and engineers that come off the dinghies, they end up here with no skills at all. Full into that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that 200 miles.
But maybe then
Dover.
children were right. They
PhDs are sucked by the channel into the dark depths.
Yeah, with their passports.
Yeah.
But, you know, you mentioned just there, and she says it, the Welsh Refugee Council, obviously security's been stepped up. Me and Stan walked straight in there. You know, as soon as we found out where it was in Swansea, we just walked in, asked the receptionist, where is this? And wearing our Voice of Wales, you know, jackets and stuff. They sent us up. We went in there. We spoke to a guy. And he said exactly the same thing. You know, everyone here has lived experience, so I don't really understand what you're saying, is what he said. He did book us another appointment, but it turns out they were closed on the day that he booked the appointment for. But he also wanted to, there was a girl that he was interviewing at the time who was a media student. She didn't say where she was from.
I think she was from Nigeria.
Something like that. But then he wanted to arrange for her to be there so we could interview her. And I thought, yeah, great. And we'll still follow up that. But the point is, this is what it is. It's, you know, lived experience. Everybody there were refugees, but they were the refugees that have been living here for a good, you know, number of years. They're not the ones that's coming fresh off a boat. So again, it's a different sort of different kettle of fish, really.
Yep.
But the schools of sanctuary was the thing that really concerned me, because we know what Welsh schools are like. They're all Labour run, and you know, what is it that we can look forward to? She already mentioned that 28 already awarded, or 29, sorry, and 68 working towards. That's just schools. She mentions colleges, universities, theatres. It's going to be every institution you can imagine is going to be one of these places of sanctuary. So we've got this up on here. Just make sure the
and what they do is that so you'll be doing a sports and science degree, and part of the module on that is that you've got to sit through 5 or 6 or 7 hours of being indoctrinated.
Yes.
And if you don't do the indoctrination, you can't pass your degree.
We were speaking to a youngster when this is slightly off, but I think he was 15, 16, something like that, or in college. He just turned 16. He was in college and he was playing rugby for the college. And he, you know, big lad, and he could have done, you know, good rugby player. And he was telling us that he doesn't want to do these diversity courses because it's really important in how to play rugby. And if he didn't do them, they were going to kick him off the team, you know, and he loses his college place.
Yeah.
So just if he didn't do this, you know, the indoctrination lessons. But, you know, I've got this up here. What is a school of sanctuary? So we just run over these really quickly. A school nursery or sixth form that, I got to read it off here because my eyesight's terrible, that fosters a culture of welcome and safety for people seeking sanctuary, including asylum seekers and refugee families. Now, obviously, they don't come over in families, so it is just the men. A school that educates a whole school community about the experiences and the realities of people who have been forced to flee there, foster empathy and understanding. Flee to foster empathy and understanding. A school that plays an active role in building culture of welcoming by connecting with supporting local refugee organizations, collaborating with other institutions to raise awareness and advocate for a kinder approach towards those seeking safety. So again, it's just bolstering the infrastructure that we've got throughout Wales, all as one, under one sort of umbrella.
And you've got to remember the communist ethos or the Marxist ethos of transmission belts to the masses. And by having to identify local groups, Hate Not Hope, Oxfam, and the others, then you're actually being recruited and you don't realise it. Because in order to pass this module, you've got to also volunteer, or perhaps.
Well, we've got the criteria, and the criteria is quite long, so I didn't go through it all. I've just copied some little bits of it, the bits that
Infuriated you.
Yeah, well, it just highlights the point, really. So the school should evidence how these efforts. So this is basically what the criteria is to become a school of sanctuary. The school should evidence how these efforts will be sustained beyond the initial award, ideally being linked to the school's improvement development plan, make clear in policy documents and new staff introduction process, and by assigning a member of staff as sanctuary lead. So it's basically getting a permanent person in the schools who's going to be the sanctuary lead. Could be a teacher that's already there, but we know as it is already with schools in England, Wales, and Wales especially because it's the worst, the teachers are stretched. They've already got too much to deal with the amount of kids they've got compared to the amount of teachers they've got. And now you want to try and flood someone with this nonsense.
Yeah. But
because kids, let's be honest, kids are colorblind, aren't they? Kids don't really notice. They don't understand. They don't need to know any of this sort of stuff. They just go to school to learn about the stuff that's going to get them through life. Is this valuable?
Yeah. And we are, at the end of all this, there are only, in my view, two sets of valid refugees at the moment: Hong Kongers and Ukrainians. Roughly those.
Yeah.
And it's probably the Russian-speaking Ukrainians.
Yeah. So this one, then the next one that annoyed me a little bit: recognition of and participating in the annual Refugee Week or other regular celebratory events which highlight the contribution of refugees and migrants to the UK.
Yeah, that one confused the hell out of me. What does that even mean? We literally just have to sit there and praise refugees for a week.
Yeah. Well, it's like
they stand shoulder to shoulder and walk through, and you bow to them.
Yeah.
It would clean their boots or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's like Pride, isn't it? You had, it's been Pride Month for about 3 years in Wales, and every time it literally has, it's Pride Month
Gayest
again.
country on the Isles.
Very much so, and it's that sort of thing where you've got Refugee Week, and then it's Refugee Year, then it's Appreciate a Refugee Day, then it's Hug a Refugee Day. It's all sort of things that is going to be pushed through the schools. So, what you got to remember from this is once you are a school of sanctuary, it means more money, and this is what it all comes down to. To get them to push the message that they want, they're going to give them more money for it. And, it's just ridiculous. Committed to supporting age-appropriate active pupil voice and leadership on sanctuary, and welcoming activities into the school, including opportunities for students seeking sanctuary to advise the school on how it can be more supportive. So the teachers, who are the professionals, apparently, are going to sit there and take lessons off the children, who are going to tell the teachers how they can make their school more welcoming. Yeah. What is that going to be? Do they need a prayer room?
But at the end of all of this, the education system in Wales is failing. We're the lowest in Europe on the PISA stats. It's abysmal, the education system in Wales, and they're bringing this nonsense in. And there's no... They've got rid of critical thinking. So you can't have a debate and then have, I've learned something today. It's all... This is the only answer you can give, which your daughters had to put, and this is and there's no other answer.
And nobody's learned anything. We've just wasted a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's the thing about communist indoctrination. I met a guy in Serbia who was in Yugoslavia back in the day.
Yeah,
and he joined the local army unit, and he had communist classes, and he was top of the class.
Yeah,
he got given a special award for knowing the most about Marxism.
Yeah,
so I asked him, so what was that like? And he said, I hated it. Can't stand the crap, even at the time. And he's just like, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't remember anything. He just said the answers and then forget it.
Yeah.
Worthless.
I won't go through the rest of them apart from this one, because I think this one is important. It's a public commitment to the City of Sanctuary vision of welcoming, including the endorsement of the City of Sanctuary Charter, which can be done via signing the City of Sanctuary Organisation Pledge. There's the link there. The pledge should be included on the school's website and in a public space in the school. So, I've pledged my alliance to this nonsense, and it's got to be up on the board. It's got to be on the school so everyone can see, and it's got to be on the school's website.
There has to be evidence that you're complicit.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the lawyers and doctors.
Yeah. And, if you needed to see, is it a cult? Well, yes, it does absolutely look like a cult, doesn't it? Because this is the sort of thing that you get. And then there's just this one then. This is a school not far from myself. It's a Catholic school, St. Joseph's School.
Primary
school, of
kindergarten.
Yep.
I think the one of the big problems outside of everything else that is absolutely horrendous and horrible, obviously, about this is, when I see this image is that I disagree when you say that all children are colorblind. I understand what you're meaning, and that might have been the case for mine and Callum's generation growing up, and possibly yours as well, just because when I was going through school, when Callum would have been going through school, it was something they really drilled into your head, which is that we're all the same. There's no differences other than aesthetic, and don't pay any attention to it. We can all hold hands with one another. The problem is, all of the white kids in that image will be thinking that. I'm sorry, all of the black and brown kids will not.
Yes.
They are very aware of their own racial and ethnic identity.
I think it's even worse.
Well,
the kids will be taught that they're evil.
Yes, that's true. But there will come a tipping point with these schools where if they do really open themselves up to unlimited sanctuary, where the tipping point will be all of a sudden these kids, and this is the worry across all Western nations, will be the minority. It'll go, it'll be all at once. It'll go from just a trickle to all of a sudden you're 40%, they're 60%. When they get into those positions, and this is something that happened during desegregation in American schools, when you suddenly find yourself as a white minority in the schools, all of a sudden, especially when they've been taught that you are the source of all of the problems in their life, they will be abused by these other students.
We see it in London, don't we? There's schools in London. You know, Twitter's full of school kids being beaten up. White school kids. And when I said about kids being colorblind, I meant for my instance, young Welsh children. Like my daughter will go to school. There's black children in the school. She plays with them, and she doesn't ever ask any questions. It doesn't not even concern her. She doesn't think twice.
See, I must have been about 17 before I saw my first non-white.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but there's something really funny about that to me.
I don't
want
a
ghost, like a unicorn or something.
Like I don't want to sound like I'm calling you like really old or anything, but that's a completely different world to anything that myself or Callum would have been growing up in.
But I'm of the age where I've watched the change. Swansea was a city of sanctuary, has been for about 13 years now. I remember it when I was younger, and I've seen the way it is now. And the change is noticeable, but very conscious of time. So I just want to focus on this picture. And this is for anybody who thinks, oh no, these are just people trying to do good things. Look at the T-shirt that was made, in this school. You've got BBC News, Oxfam, Stand Up to Racism.
Explicitly
this is Socialist Worker. You can see the WB here. This is Socialist Worker. So it is them very groups who are always out against the Antifa groups, the anti-establishment, apparently, groups that are getting into the schools. And there was a quote from Art of War, wasn't it? And if you really want to destroy your enemy, raise their children. And that's what we're basically getting in Wales.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Symposium series, this episode on the Art of War. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.